Hi everyone, so it's May and therefore time for another investment portfolio update. In this video I am going to give you the most current valuations in each and every one of my investment portfolios. I'm also going to tell you what I contributed this month, and then finally I will explain why I have actually disinvested all of my money from trading 212 stocks and shares ISA, which was actually valued at about £7,700. First of all though, let's talk about the current total valuation on all of my investments, and that would be £48,800. This actually does cover a number of different accounts, including various stocks and shares ISAs, a lifetime ISA, and also 2 private pensions, which I had built up while working full-time for various different companies. And so around £20,000 of that total is through work, and then the remainder is through me putting aside disposable income in order to invest. Now, if I just very quickly start with my Vanguard account, this is my stocks and shares ISA, which I have done the majority of my investing through since I started to become serious about investing and my investment journey towards the end of 2021. And in that account, I have managed to invest around £21,000, and the most recent valuation is just under 23,000. And so when you're looking at the long-term view from inception, it has already made £2,000 in unrealized return. However, because this is a monthly investment update, I do also want to hone in on April's figures. And it's actually pretty interesting because, of course, this was the month where we saw a lot of turmoil, we saw a lot of fluctuations in the market, we saw the crash happen, and Trump's tariffs really did seem to knock everyone for six and make people interested in the stock market, and it was really a buzz topic throughout that time period. Now, I myself, not having been invested for very long, I have to say it was my first experience seeing the numbers drop so quickly, and it was an interesting time to go through. But if we look at the comparison from the first day of the month and up to the last day of the month of April 2025, we can see that my Vanguard portfolio has dropped in value by about £540 total. And then when it comes to the individual funds, £323 of those losses was due to the US equity fund, £138 of the losses was due to the FTSE all cap fund, £24 was lost due to my ESG developed world fund, which is just a very small proportion of my overall portfolio, and then finally £42 was lost through the Life Strategy 60% equity fund. The good news is that actually we're in a much better position now than we were a couple of weeks ago when the dip happened and all those announcements were taking place. So it shows that really that kind of knee-jerk reaction and that kind of quick reaction of the markets was not ever really going to stick. We're already out of the worst position there, and I mean, even if it hadn't recovered this little bit by now, I wouldn't be concerned because I am in this for the long term. And if you look at past performance, eventually the stock market always does recover.
Even after major crashes like in 2008 or during the dot-com bubble. For example, after the 2008 financial crisis, the market took about 5 years to return to pre-crash levels. Over the last 50 years, despite downturns, the general long-term trend has been upward.
Next, I'm going to talk about my Dodl account, and this is my lifetime ISA. I did actually manage to invest £200 into this month, and I managed to do that just really by virtue of doing this investment checkup. While I don't have any disposable income at the moment to be investing. I did actually have a bit of a surplus held as cash in this lifetime ISA account, and so I took the decision to invest that money. Really, the key with this and my thought process is, as it is a lifetime ISA and I have already purchased my first property, I will not be able to cash this money out unless I wanted to incur a penalty, which of course I very much want to avoid. And with that, it really just does make sense to get the money invested. While I was making a little bit of interest on the cash held on this account, it is never going to outperform the investments and the return on investment that I could be making from being in the stock market. And hence that money is now in a globally diversified fund. InvestEngine I won't touch on for long. I had about £125 worth of value on my latest update there, and it has dropped a little bit to 118. Last but not least, let's talk about trading 212 and why I have fully disinvested from my stocks and shares ISA. I have to explain that the money that I was holding in that stocks and shares ISA was cash, and while technically invested, it was only really in qualifying money market funds, and I have a whole video on this too, so I will link that up above and down below in case you want the full download of exactly why I made this decision. But to cut a long story short, that was my emergency fund money. I had never really ever intended for it to be exposed to the stock market and the volatility, because I need it to be liquid and I need it to be easily accessible in case of an emergency. And so I made the decision to move all of that money into a cash ISA account. The process was super simple, even though I didn't look up how to do this, and I have never transferred funds between accounts using Trading 212 before. It took me only about 2 minutes total to do this, and I will play the footage back and show you in real time how that worked. But essentially the 2 minutes included me opening a cash ISA account and transferring all of the money from my stocks and shares ISA into that cash ISA. So it was very, very easy, and I am still getting a competitive rate of 4.35% on that emergency fund, that cash that is now 100% secure. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed and took something from this investment portfolio update. I will be sharing month by month as the portfolio progresses, so hope to see you in that next video, and in the meantime, enjoy the nice weather and thanks for watching.